All right. Hello, everybody. This is Sound Booth Theater Live. We're live in my new booth, in my new Studio Bricks booth. I'm going to talk about our sponsor real quick. I am very happy to have received this new booth. I think I got it a couple weeks ago, but Annie had to be prepared to get the old booth delivered to her, and I had to make sure that I had all the new gear that I needed to replace all the things that I was giving to her as well. But finally, over the weekend, well, not let's see, I guess it was Friday when I was back into recording shape. Um, this new booth is now ready. This is by Studio Bricks, our sponsor, and in my opinion, they make the best looking and uh, just the best booth on the market, really, at all. As you can see, this is pretty cool looking. They're very easy to put together. It takes about 30 minutes. Like once you actually know how the thing fits together, it takes about 30 minutes to take apart and put back together. So they're pretty portable. They're super heavy and solid when they're in place, but they keep the sound out. Let me actually I forgot to screen share. Derpy derp. Where'd it go? Oh man, I'm killing you guys. Here it is. So yeah, this is their website, studiobricks.com. If you are an aspiring actor, voice actor, an aspiring narrator, and you need a solid but good-looking piece of equipment to hide inside of so that you can make noises without other noises polluting your noises, Studio Bricks is the company to go check out. Also today, we have 3 different requests. Our first request that we're going to deal with is Locked In, the Virtual Realms series, Book 1 by MJ Lau. Now, this one was our oldest request. You guys like to vote on, let's hear what the oldest request is. So here it is, Locked In. I'm not exactly sure what it's about. Let's see, I'm going to read the description. Everett Starner is a nobody. He doesn't play sports. He's not smart enough to stand out in school. He's barely worth bullying. He's not really good at anything except video games, which would be fine if they didn't randomly trigger his epilepsy. That is until the interface, the newest gaming accessory that puts the game in your mind. When he plays Realms of Glory, he doesn't watch Everstar level up and score loot. He is Everstar. He becomes the somebody he can never be in real life. It's fun at first. His clan rises in the ranks and catches the attention of some powerful rivals. But during an epic battle, everything gets real. Too real. Players suddenly vanish. Kills do not respawn. Everett ends up trapped in the game with just a few friends and who knows how many enemies. He doesn't know how they got locked in, but he knows they all need to get out soon. Everett finally has a chance to be somebody in real life, if only he can get back out there before it's too late. Sounds like a pretty classic lit RPG start there. So that's going to be our first request. Then we have a request from our good friend Raymond Johnson, host of the LITRPG audiobook podcast, and he has his own title called Apocalypse on Endless Earths. Apocalypse How? I am digging this cover. It looks silly. Ray, did you get this? Did you commission this? Because it looks pretty good. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Space Quest, this cover. Did someone just join in?
Yeah, I did, Jeff.
What's up, Ray?
What's going on?
Okay, sorry. It's funny, right when I was talking about your book.
Oh.
Did you commission this cover?
Yes.
I like the hot bunny lady back there.
Thank you.
And yeah, so I was just saying this cover reminds me of Space Quest.
Oh, okay, yeah, you should. That was kind of it's kind of a wacky kind of novel when I wanted to have like that. If you've seen Space Quest, you know how things go. So
okay,
the whole thing it's a serious, but it's got like a lot of funny moments to it. It's more silly than anything else.
Okay,
this is a complete opposite of what I usually do. and I just wanted to have fun with this book. So
cool. Okay, so I'm going to read the description here. Declan Mason is just an average guy who is about to pop the question to the woman he loves more than anything when his whole world gets turned upside down. No, that's not right. It gets crushed, pulped, eviscerated, and apocalypsed to hell before he even realizes what is happening. He suddenly finds himself working for an extra-dimensional entity that has tasked him with committing genocide on a daily basis. Did you hear what I did there? It was like I actually used the alien word for extra-dimensional, and then I translated it on the fly. As Declan's new job, it seems, consists solely of him eliminating alternate versions of his Earth. Not content to just destroy, he vows to save the woman he loves one planet at a time. Soon, he's up to his armpits in doppelgangers of his dearie, and he starts to get a clue as to why he has to destroy each world. Just to complicate matters, the Horseman, the person who held his station prior to Declan taking over, has decided it is up to him to stop the entity's murder spree and has placed Declan in his crosshairs. Apocalypse on Endless Earths is seriously silly and actively adventurous. Can one man learn to destroy numerous worlds in new and creative ways while simultaneously saving copies of the woman he loves? Find out. All right. So this sounds like a whole lot of fun. And of course, I forgot to look it up on Amazon, but we'll just let you guys see the VEET for men cream. VEET hair removal for men. For men. Just so you know what we're talking about today, here it is. This is the product that the review is from, that Bonnie Price has requested. I'm sure it will be amazing. It will be in the Cringe Theater portion at the very end of the stream, because we have no idea what to expect, especially since it's coming from Bonnie Price. So I hope you guys are all excited to hear about just how amazing this product is. I wonder if people think I'm actually sponsored by VEET hair removal cream now. Maybe. I don't know. I'm going to shout out to VEET. Hey, guys. Hair removal. Hey, how come you're part of the Blue Man group right now? Where's your face?
Who, me?
No. Yes, you. What are you?
Oh, no.
That's what I've been talking to.
I don't know. Who else is here? I just came on.
No one.
I don't have my camera set up. I'm in another office. I just got the sound set up for right now.
Oh, everyone wants to see you, dude.
I'm sloppy right now. I'm in a t-shirt with holes in it and everything else.
Better. Even better.
I'll see what I can do. I'll do it for you, Jeff. I'll see what I can do.
You can put on like a pillowcase.
I've done that before. I've worn sheets.
Go toga. All right. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna start with locked in first. Let's see. Unlocked. I gotta find it in the email. Locked in by MJ Lau. Okay. All right. He's got directions for the characters. Baneblade. Cool, gritty 20-something, like Archie on Riverdale. What is that? Is Riverdale that live action reboot of Archie? Like the darker... You know what that is? Riverdale?
Riverdale, isn't that where Archie's from?
Okay. Yeah, he answered my question. All right, Everstar, 14-year-old boy, a little nerdy, but confident. Wolfgang, also teen boy, but more jaded, sarcastic. All right, I think I can get this done. All right, this is locked in. Virtual Worlds, Book 1. All these LITRPGs titles just bleed together, guys. You gotta start doing... Stop the online stuff. Stop the virtual stuff. You gotta figure something else out. You know, when we actually have VR like MMOs, all the stuff, like the first thing that they come out with is going to be a complete cliche a million times over just because of LitRPG, and no one's going to want to play it. All the stuff. Like, uh-oh. The first thing that they Ray, stop that.
It's off. It's off. I needed to see if my camera's on there, so.
Okay. All right, so here goes. Chapter 1. The dungeons under Shattered Peak were always dangerous, but they were twice as deadly at night. The pair of one-eyed trolls guarding the entrance propped their bladed clubs on one shoulder, their 9-foot shields obscuring their massive bodies below the chin. Slaying them would only be the beginning. Beyond lie flaming skeletons. Lie flaming? What does that mean? I'm just going to say it. Beyond lie flaming skeletons, an army of giant millipedes skulking. Live flaming? Is that what he's saying? Is that a lie? Never mind. An army of giant millipedes, skulkings, spitting acid from the ceiling, and of course double the enchanted treasure as during the day. Wait, what? Oh, beyond lie. Okay, duh. Beyond lie flaming skeletons, an army of giant millipedes, skulkings, spitting acid from the ceiling, and of course double the enchanted treasure as during the day. At least, that's what Everstar was counting on. He'd died 12 times already trying to find out. From the edge of the Goblin's Forest, the dungeon's entrance looked so close, but Everstar and his clan members needed a strategic plan to get within range before the trolls spotted them. Yikes. Where's my brain, guys? I'm trying to narrate here. He was hoping his leader, Lord Baneblade, would somehow turn to him for advice, but even in his mismatched armor, Everstar didn't stand out. Lord Baneblade, on the other hand, was impossible to miss. He looked like a steampunk vampire hunter, his blood-red cape and sleek black hair rippling in the steady breeze. The only brightness about him was the 2-foot blade strapped to his left arm, gleaming in the moonlight. After surveying the scene, Baneblade knelt and faced the rest of the group. "All right, men. Let's get ready to move out." He fixed his eyes on the two guys next to Everstar. "Katie and Miracle, I want you to pin those trolls down with arrow fire." The elf and the human ranger, respectively, grinned. His eyes skipped over Everstar to the next clan member. "Zero, try to blind them with dazzle flame." The hovering hooded mage nodded. Baneblade's eyes shifted upward to look at the wall of meat towering above them all. "And Shieldbreaker, do what you do." The whole team laughed as the bearded Viking pumped his fist. Baneblade's gaze swept over the whole group, yet Everstar felt like he was still being overlooked. "Everyone else, stay close behind me. Clear?" A dozen eager fighters grunted their assent. Everstar cleared his throat and stood, placing himself for the first time in Lord Baneblade's line of sight. "Lord!" he squeaked, his high voice clashing with his stern, grizzled face. The others suppressed snorts, but Everstar pressed on. "Why don't we split into 2 groups and circle around? A one-eyed troll is a perfect target for a pincer attack." Baneblade stared hard at Everstar. He recognized the intensity in the warrior's steel-gray eyes. The Lord smiled. "Wolf, Kit, and both Gaijins, go right with Star. The rest of you follow me." Soon, a lanky spearman, a stealthy catgirl, and 2 almost identical samurai joined Everstar's squad. Once everyone was in position, Baneblade held up a fist. "On 3, he said. 1, 2, 3. A searing green light arced through the air, bursting into blinding flame right in front of the trolls' contorted faces. The steady thrum of bows sent a storm of arrows raining down on the dazed monsters. With a primal howl, Shieldbreaker charged, a V of fighters running at his heels toward the disoriented dungeon guards. 10 paces from the first troll, he raised his massive battle axe high. I honestly almost said balls instead of battle axe. Like, I don't know why the letters, like, morphed and tried to trip me there, but they did for just a second. And the other half of my mind was like, hold on a second. That can't possibly but be what he wrote. With one heavy stroke... With one heavy stroke, the Vikings smashed through the hopeless creature's iron plate mail, leveling it. "Hold your fire!" Lord Baneblade yelled back to the archers, as the arrows now threatened to rain down on their comrades. Everstar, Wolfgang, and the rest of the fighters swept in from the left of the larger troll after Shieldbreaker slew the first. Suddenly, the dazzle flame died, and the second troll quickly recovered his sense, bracing himself just in time for Shieldbreaker's next swing. The shield's metal shrieked, the mighty troll's arm shuddered, and his heel slid back a good yard from the blow. But the axis stopped, protruding 4 inches through the other side, and now stuck fast in the troll's shield. The troll roared. The troll roared, wrenching the shield aside and throwing Shieldbreaker to the ground. He hefted his awful bladed club 15 feet in the air and brought it down toward the great warrior's skull. Just then, Wolfgang's halberd slammed into the giant troll's ribcage, jolting it so hard that the shaft snapped and flew from his hands. The monster's downstroke continued, albeit at a different angle, headed now for Shieldbreaker's groin. With a bold leap, Everstar soared over the Viking's body and slashed through the troll's weapon arm with his demon blade, causing both limb and club to spin off into the night. The troll's scream ended as quickly as it began, with Lord Baneblade's arm sword punching through the creature's neck. From there, things got crazy. The next 20 minutes were a free-for-all, with each clan member fighting into their own style as they wove through the snaking dungeon tunnels. With each clan member fighting in their own style as they wove through the snaking dungeon tunnels. They shot and hacked and magicked their way through hordes of goblin priests and giant spiders, healing each other almost constantly. Everstar hung with most of the pack until they reached the mummy's chambers, where everyone had to fend for themselves against the seemingly endless waves of walking corpses. After that, most of the clan headed down the gilded halls to the right of the dark sarcophagus, but Everstar remembered making it this far once before and wanted to try his luck cutting left this time. Who's saying this? Everstar. "Wolfgang! This way!" he called, waving his best friend over. They scrambled into the dim side corridor just as they heard their clanmates encounter the telltale shrieks of the Skulklings. Everstar equipped his spectral pendant to illuminate the dark passageway. Even though he was rushing into imminent danger, he couldn't help but admire the attention to detail in the wall carvings and the jeweled ceiling. The richness of the sounds in the hallway put a strange smile on his face as well, the jangle of Wolfgang's beaded necklaces blending with the crunch of their footsteps and the bass of far-off combat shaking the walls. Yay, Ray's got a camera.
It's up now.
All right, cool. Bleh. Sorry. A faint drowning sound grew with each step until Everstar realized it was the distant roar of a huge fire. He could almost feel the heat on his face. He could almost feel the heat on his face as the glow became brighter and brighter. Excuse me. "Dude, is that what I think it is?" Wolfgang asked, twirling his backup weapon, a fury flail, in anticipation. "It's gotta be," Everstar replied, swapping out his pendant for a stone of protection and lowering his helmet visor. The two charged into a vast chamber filled with towering shadows dancing in the lights of countless bonfires. They had found a conference of mages, which only happens once every 900 red moons. As soon as they entered the massive space, the room erupted in sorcerer's lightning and dragon breath and blood of the ancients. Everstar and Wolfgang dodged and slashed, zigzagging toward the Eye of Magus at the far end. Smash that, and they would capture the whole room. Everstar had his sights locked on that iridescent orb, avoiding the crisscrossing spellstorm almost without a thought. The hypnotic colors intensified as he and Wolfgang got closer, and the flashing of the surrounding fires and the bursting of magic all around them only heightened the chaos of light. As they ascended the stairs to the mage's altar, Wolfgang raised his flail to strike the eye as soon as it was in range. 5 paces out, Everstar stumbled on the steps. His sword arm fell limp at his side. The awful glare of Sorcerer's Vengeance consumed his vision, leaving him in darkness. And that's it. All right, so aside from me fucking up the reading quite a bit more than I usually do, this is a pretty well-written book, it seems. I'm liking the language of it. It feels exciting. It doesn't feel too wordy. The pacing is good. We didn't get to hear much of the characters, but they didn't sound terrible. We'll see. We'll see. Well, not we'll see. I mean, if it gets requested again, maybe we'll see. But how did you guys feel about it? I don't know. I thought it was decent. If you thought it was decent, check it out in the description below. I have a link to the Amazon, the Kindle version of it, and you can pick it up there. All these people have been talking. Thanks, New Hades, he complimented my booth. No, the door doesn't open. I am now stuck here forever. My website is being hidden from the first page by Google when you search. Oh, that sucks. I don't have a job section on my website. No, please, no more people. No more people to manage. I'm sure it didn't say balls. Let's see. 15 people watching. I like how I'm just responding to this huge list of chat things. And yeah. I am sure it didn't say balls. Jeff just had a stroke.
What's that meme of yours, though, say, Jeff?
Happy
genitals.
Yeah. I like that one. I need more memes. Meme away, people. Again, if you guys liked that little excerpt, go check it out on Amazon. The link is in the description below. Raymond.
Yes, sir.
All right. Tell us more about your book, why you started it, when you started it.
Well,
all that.
Sorry. I didn't mean to talk over you there, Jeff. This is just something I've had an idea of for a while. I like a couple of aspects of things where you have other dimensions and you have doppelgangers of people and how you react to those kind of people. You know, they're similar to who you know, but they're not exactly the same, and so on and so forth. So it gives you a lot of variety to play with characters. So basically, the book is about a man who loses his girlfriend, and he basically goes around from one universe to another, snatching up variant copies of her and trying to save the main multiverse from destruction at the same time.
So, okay, hold on. He's like making a harem out of the same person?
That's basically, yeah.
Yes.
You want to look at that? So if you look at the front cover, everybody there, it's the same person. They're all the same girl. There's just different variants. So
I'm gonna go back. Keep talking. I'm gonna go back. I don't want people to die in the vortex here. I'm gonna make.
Yeah. So basically, if you look at it, those are the main girls that he has to start off with. There's a vampire. There is a road warrior lady. There's a centaur. There is a cyborg, and there is a rabbit, and then there's the duplicate of his original girlfriend. But I don't want to give anything away. But as much as he likes her and she likes him, they can never be together for certain reasons. So he kind of just keeps on doing what he needs to do. But there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. He's being manipulated, and he comes to realize that as time goes on. Okay. But basically, there's a lot of other ones in there. I tried really hard to add in like people that I thought would like, okay, who would be absolutely annoying that if you saved them, you'd regret it. So I had like, so I have like this vegan CrossFit trainer and it drives him crazy. And then I thought, well, there's mimes. Who likes mimes? And the mime character has become my favorite character. I mean, I love her to pieces because I just had stuff that just came up unexpectedly, and I never thought that mimes could be fun. But yeah, I mean, like, the mime war is just hilarious to me. I just laugh every time I think about it, and it's probably the most fun I've had writing anything.
I like the Road Warrior version of his girlfriend. She's just wearing panties and bandoliers.
Yes,
There's
yes.
nothing else. Oh,
Yeah.
and boots.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
really high boot. Like there's more surface area of clothing on her boots than any other part of her body.
absolutely there is. And it's one of those things he struggles with all the time because he's very reserved and he keeps saying I'm a one woman kind of guy, so he doesn't want to see other women. And you'll see it in the scene that I give you. He's talking about the vampire and how she's wearing a dress with a big long slit in it, and it can kind of show everything. And so he gets a little embarrassed from time to time, and he's always trying to put clothes on the Road Warrior. And her name is Crow. The woman's name is Sarah Crow. His girlfriend was Sarah. So they're all variants of Sarah. There's Crow is the Road Warrior. The Centaur is Saratar. They call her that. The Rabbit is Ra. She's a cheerleader type. The Cyborg is Essie. It stands for SC, as in, Sarah Crow, so on and so forth. And the ones that don't get like special little nicknames, they're like Second Sarah or Silent Sarah, as the mime is. So that's just basically how it works.
Okay. It is technically just one woman though.
Yes.
Like he's like, I'm a one woman. Well, there's not a problem, dude. You're cool.
Absolutely.
You're cool.
Yep.
It's not cheating if it's a doppelganger, is it?
I don't know. That's one of the things he's trying to figure out. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Back to reality, not the vortex. All right. So let's check out the scene. First I'm going to see how much chaos we're causing in the chat here. Saratar. Someone asked how long did it take to install the new booth? It took like a couple hours. Most of that was a few hours. Most of that was from unpacking it from the massive crate and throwing away all the bullshit. But putting it together is super easy. All right, and I'll be posting a video of that, by the way, of the booth being put together. It's going to be a time lapse, and you'll see how it goes together. All right, so here goes. We're going to do the part. Now, you only sent me one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Scene background. Declan has just arrived on the last world that he needs to destroy after a chain of apocalypses that he was supposed to complete within a specific time frame. He is running out of time, and he has two missions. First, he needs to find the doppelganger of the woman he loves who lives on this world and get her to safety, and then wipe out the planet. Time is ticking, and he has been through hell. Characters. Declan, the hero, an everyman, confident to handle some things, but not everything. Okay, what do you want from his voice?
Honestly,
Declan, is he Irish?
You know what? You could. I'm Irish, and I wouldn't have an issue with that. He's just an everyman, so you could use any kind of voice you would want. I mean, honestly, I'm not really picky with his voice.
All right. Christine.
Yeah. The car.
A miniature levitation sentient?
Mm-hmm.
57 Chevy replica. Okay, so what are you saying, that it's a floating car? It's like a
if you look at the cover, you'll see she's in the background. It's kind of floating behind his head. She was originally his vehicle.
Oh.
And, yeah, so the alien entity known as the Invigilator kind of crunched her down to a nice size and gives her to him to kind of help him as a guide through his apocalypse thing.
Invigilator. Okay. She has a voice like Lauren Bacall. Lauren Bacall. You know how to whistle, don't you, Steve? You just put your lips together and blow. has a metallic ring to her voice. Lauren Bacall. God damn it. I'm sorry. I'm a
No,
okay. Let me make sure that we're
she's
there.
real sultry and soft spoken. You know how to put your lips together, don't you, Steve? You just put your lip. You know how to whistle, don't you, Steve? You just put your lips together and blow.
Here we go. This is probably a good reference.
Who was the girl, Steve?
Who was what girl?
The one who left you with such a high opinion of women. You know, Steve, you're not very hard to figure. Only at times. Sometimes I know exactly what you're going to say. Most of the time. The other times... The other times, you're just a stinker.
Okay. I get it. All right. She has a voice like Lauren Bacall. Has a metallic ring to her voice. Okay. Can I do that right now? Do I have a setup for that right now? I'll do it.
Sorry to make it so troublesome. This is just supposed to be a run through.
No, it's fine. It's fun to throw in some metallic stuff. Normally, I would just be like, "Yeah, fuck that." But now that I figured out how to do it, I'm like, "Yay!" Here we go. Take off the modulation a little bit. The hero, an everyman, a miniature levitation sentient 57 Chevy replica. How's that?
Good.
All right. I'm glad that one doesn't have a delay. All right. Sarah, she is the victim on the table, and a duplicate of the woman that Declan loves. This version is sexy and sultry, almost hypnotic as she speaks. Everything that she says makes her sound like she is coming on to him, even when she asks if he wants a cup of coffee. Okay. Jerome, occultist. He comes off like a missionary from the Church of Latter-day Saints. Very bright and happy. Think Donny Osmond. All right. Second cultist, very mellow, like he's high and wanting to talk philosophy. Very easily distracted, like Chong from Cheech and Chong, okay? Third cultist, he's frustrated and angers easily. Think Gordon Ramsay. All right.
See, I gave you easy ones at the end.
Yep. Okay. An excerpt from Chapter Cult 45, Apocalypse on Endless Earths.
But don't worry about me.
The sounds of screaming echoed through his ears, and fires were burning everywhere he looked. It was hard to tell what made him gag, the smoke, the blood, or the stench of decaying bodies. Ah, he thought, there is the smell I was so desperately missing. He was in sensory overload, dizzy from just being dropped into what felt like a torture chamber run by H. Holmes and the Marquis de Sade under the guidance of the CIA. Bile rose in his throat, and he choked back a full-on vomit that was forming in his stomach. He caught some in his mouth, but swallowed it quickly. Swaying, he grabbed a street pole to steady himself and looked around. Christine, what the hell is happening here? The car bopped beside him. Sorry. The car bopped beside him. War? Riots? Hard to say. Declan examined the area around him, and he immediately ruled out war. He saw no signs of shelling, and the first fires looked to have been started by accidents or by spreading from one place to another. The damage and devastation could have been caused by riots, but if that were the case, then they were the bloodiest riots he'd ever seen. Riots didn't generally leave limbs hanging from lampposts about or heads laying in gutters. This was just bad timing on his part. He tried to get here as soon as he could and clearly was in the middle of whatever it was that the Invigilator wanted to be stopped. He understood that now. There was something seriously wrong with each world that he'd visited, or so he believed. He may not have seen it on Ra's world or that of the centaur known as Sarah, but he was certain those were worlds that were like rotten apples, lovely on the outside and a horror show under the skin. All right. Pull that down a little. Declan was about to pull up a mental map of the area when he realized that he was standing under a street sign, and he looked up to read the names of Wabash and Lake. He was right where he was supposed to be. The man in the blue suit closed his eyes and silently thanked God that he was at least close to where he was supposed to be. He turned and saw the sign for Bloody Stars Coffee and More. It wasn't lit up, but he could see people inside. Declan made a beeline for the door and found it locked. He knocked, but no one answered. Again, he knocked harder, and this time was answered with a scream from inside. It was a voice that he knew all too well. Sarah was screaming like she was being murdered. He didn't hesitate. Before he realized what he was doing, he was already in motion. His foot flew up and kicked just below the door handle. Unfortunately, Declan had never been trained to use his foot to kick down a door, so when he lashed his leg out, he struck with a solid thunk and pushed off the door so hard that he ended up landing on his ass. Hard. He looked up at Christine hovering there and shouted, "Christine! Break the glass of the door and help Sarah! I'll be right behind you!" The miniature 57 Chevy imitation took off like a bullet and shattered the glass of the door. Shards sprayed inward in her wake, and Declan heard her strike at least one body as she vanished into the darkness. He picked himself up and pulled his gun from his back. His knee was stiff and was not happy being asked to move so soon after his failed attempt to swat the door. It protested loudly with each step he took. His rear end didn't feel any better, but he supposed it was better than having one's limbs ripped off. He saw a struggling body laid out on the corner. She, he was certain it was a she, was fighting and kicking as 3 other individuals who were wearing black robes held her down. A 4th individual was laid out on the floor, and Declan could see that the unconscious form prone on the floor was also wearing black robes and holding what appeared to be a kris in their hands. The first of what he assumed to be cultists looked up at him as he entered. Declan could not see his face, but he could hear him clearly. "Greetings, brother! Have you heard of your overlord and destroyer, Shoglathoid?" The 3rd acolyte cut him off. "We are supposed to be chanting, Jerome! Chanting! How can we sacrifice this maiden if we aren't chanting? Let's really call to the master!" The 2nd figure turned his cowl to face the men wanting to chat. "Are we doing the Om Mani Padme Hum chant?" The 3rd figure almost threw up his hands, but realized just in time that he was holding his victim down. "No, you idiot! Buddhists chant that, not members of the cult of the endless eldritch entities!" Cultist number 2 pointed a finger at himself, forgetting completely about the girl he was trying to kill. "I am a Buddhist and a cultist. The 2 things are not mutually exclusive. Everyone seems to think that Buddhism is a religion. It's not. It is more of a philosophy or way of life. Anyone can be a Buddhist, even the Pope." Jerome cut in. "You don't find being a Buddhist interferes with your murderous and bloody philosophy." Wait, Jerome is... I thought that was the first cultist.
That's the first.
Okay. "You don't find being a Buddhist interferes with your murderous and bloody philosophy of appeasing the old ones?" The 2nd thug shook his hood. "Not at all. I believe that they are mutually exclusive endeavors. Buddhism allows me to try to be a better self, as I struggle to summon the dark gods whose names must not be spoken. The third assailant started screaming, "Shug him, shugs him, Riley Fitton!" The others just stared at him from their dark hoods. I think you mispronounced relay. No. I think you mispronounced relay. How would I pronounce that?
Relay.
Relay. I think you mispronounced relay, Jerome stated flatly, unless one of the Dark Lords is named Riley. The third cultist growled and began chanting again, but he stopped when no one joined him. We can't stop chanting just because the own unholy friar has been knocked unconscious. The second hooded figure turned to look at the first, Jerome, and let out a soft, "Eh?" Jerome, the cultist, chastised them. Look, I like chanting as much as the next guy when we are doing a sacrifice, but we also have to think of recruitment. Someone will have to replace those that we lose during the culling. This guy, he pointed at Declan, looks like a decent candidate. Why not ask him to join us? I have a spare robe in my car. We can just sacrifice her, and then I'll go get it. Yeah, said the second noncommittally. Declan drew up his gun and didn't even give a warning. He fired 3 times. 1 cartridge pierced the chest of the furthest robe-wearer, 1 round went into the arm of a second, and his third shot pierced the skull of the nearest acolyte from hell, the one who liked chanting. He had to admit, it sure looked like they were trying to sacrifice her, so he figured he'd let them join a real death cult. One in which the first requirement for membership was death. He reached out a hand and helped to pull the hapless victim up into a sitting position, and Sarah's face. Okay, let's try this one more time. He reached out a hand and helped to pull the hapless victim up into a sitting position, and Sarah's face appeared before him. She was paler than he was used to seeing her, and was wearing a gossamer black dress that did little to hide her. Wow. Bigger than average assets. She clearly had no bra on, and he was not about to look south unless she said that her feet were on fire. She stared into his eyes, and he saw no hint of recognition. This iteration of his love clearly did not know him. My name is Declan, he said in as calm a voice as he could manage. The car motored over and came to a rest near his shoulder. He nodded towards her and said, This is my friend, Christine. The stunned barista looked the two of them over. Thanks. I'm Sarah. I work here. Declan couldn't wait. What is going on around here? It looks like the whole world has gone mad. She shrugged. I don't know. All I can tell you is that everything was normal 3 hours ago, and then everything started going crazy. Some people started changing into these crazy things. The ones who didn't were torn apart. Other people, like these bastards in the robes, came in and started chanting, and before you knew it, they were grabbing customers and making sacrifices. I was the last one left, and they weren't wasting time doing their thing. If your little car thingamajig hadn't come in when it did, that wench on the floor would have already cut my heart out. She kicked the prone form at her feet, and Declan accidentally looked south. He blushed and turned away, only to see the cloaked figure he had shot in the arm standing back up. The man roared as he pulled what looked to be a short paring knife from his sleeve and waved it over his head. Declan took careful aim with his handgun and fired another round directly into his cowled head. That did the trick, as he dropped like a sack of rotten tomatoes. What? Declan said. Declan said. I don't know what is that?
He goes, EA. That's chanting for.
Oh, EA. Okay, I get it.
EA. You know.
Okay. EA! The man roared, and then Declan responds, I owe you. Declan said as the monastic menace dropped. You should have brought more vowels if you wanted to do a chant-off. I didn't even have to say, and sometimes why, punk. The gun was suddenly heavy in his hands. The gun was suddenly heavy in his hand, and a wave of exhaustion swept over him. He had never felt so tired in his life. It was finally... It was finally getting to him, all the non-stop fighting and running. It bothered him that he had taken to killing so quickly and easily. The man was drained, and all he wanted to do was go to sleep. His arm with the gun dropped to his side like the weapon weighed 100 pounds. Sarah had shrieked at the sound of the gun going off, but Declan waved her down, showing her that he had just finished off the one acolyte that he had hit in the shoulder. Christine lifted the Chris from the floor magnetically and scanned it carefully. Wait, oh, that's the car.
That's the blue car, yeah.
Declan, look at this. The wavy knife floated over before him, and he could see intricate designs etched into the metal of the blade. Any idea of what they mean? Yeah, nope, that's him. Any idea of what they mean? He asked the car. Her laser light ran over the symbols on the blade. They are... she began, but stopped. The knife flipped over and over, rotating as she scanned it once more. Declan, this is worrisome. What do you mean? She scanned the knife again. It's odd, she said ominously. I know that I have scanned this weapon several times. I'm further aware that I had downloaded all the information on it into my database, but all of that information is gone. Christine paused and levitated the Chris in front of her headlights so that she could have a better look. I know that I have repeatedly recorded the symbols, but I have no records of what those symbols were. It is as if they were erased from my database. Let me try to compare them to my store of known languages. She became absolutely motionless. Normally, she would drift a little to one side or bob up and down ever so slightly. Declan realized that he had never seen her completely still until now. It was unnerving. Her headlights came on, and she swung her tail end around. This is most curious. I cannot retain the images of those symbols within my database for longer than 12 seconds. They are purged in some manner that I cannot counter. This should not be possible. Sarah brushed herself off and straightened her dress. Look, I appreciate the help and all, but the door's broken and there are weird things roaming the streets. Cultists are going around killing people, and I'm several blocks from my home. I appreciate all the Sherlocking the two of you are doing, but it isn't safe here. She emphasized her observation by pointing at the piles of bodies in the cafe. I would be happy if you came with me and helped me get home, but if you are more interested in some creepy knife, then... If you're more interested in some creepy knife, then I'm going on my own. You want to join me? Great. If so, let's go, but I'm not staying here much longer. Sarah put her hands on her hips and licked her lips suggestively. What do you say, tough guy? You coming or staying? Declan had never seen Sarah so... aggressive before. He had thought the Centaur version was bold. This Sarah was really coming on strong, and it bothered him. Look, Sarah, I can get us all out of here safely. No worries about those things outside. I've dealt with them before. Give me a minute, and we'll be on our way. He looked back at Christine. How much time is left on the counter? You have 56 minutes remaining. He pinched his nose. Great. We're going to be really cutting this close. Mother, open a portal for Sarah and Christine. No. Mother, open a portal for Sarah and Christine. He looked over to the car. Make sure that you take that knife back with you. I want Mother to study it. You got it, Deck. She motored over to the girl. We have a safe place that we'd like you to join us in. In a moment, a doorway of sorts will open. Once we go through, we will be safe. Will you come with me? Sarah smiled a toothy grin. I don't have much of a choice, she said as she looked outside. Will the hero be coming, too? Will the hero be coming, too? Or is he planning to stay here and fight off the ravening hordes? The car listed to the right. Declan will be joining us immediately afterward. He just has to take some precautions so that nothing follows us. He'll be fine. The girl, as frazzled as she was, gave him a hungry look. good," she whispered to the car. "He smells absolutely delicious." Christine not only caught the predatory glint in the girl's crimson eyes, but also saw what she thought were fangs extending from behind her upper lip. Declan was oblivious to the conversation his car and the new Sarah was having. He had picked up an order pad and a pen and was frantically writing down numbers. 8 minutes, 20 seconds before we see it, then another half hour, give or take a minute or two, before the shock wave hits. That gives me 38 minutes. We can do this. This time he did not wait. He pulled up his HUD and scrolled over to his apocalypse screen. He typed, 8 minutes ago, the sun gained extra mass from a passing main sequence star. This caused the sun to go supernova and explode. A shock wave has since been traveling at 1/4 the speed of light and will strike the Earth on its day side, instantly vaporizing everything on its surface. The night side temperatures will exceed the average temperature of the sun's surface by 15 times and incinerating/disintegrating everything on the night side moments later. Then the planet will fragment and explode and become little more than space debris. He hit enter and closed his HUD. It was time to go. He appreciated the way he could make things happen retroactively, which helped him shave off an extra 8 minutes from his deadline. He wanted to make sure that he was able to leave before he set everything up for the apocalypse. Needless to say, he was surprised to see both Christine and Sarah still there. "What are you still doing here?" Mother hasn't opened the gateway. She says she can't." "Can't?" "As before, on Crow's World, something that she will not permit through is too near the gateway position." Declan was looking out the window as the car spoke. He saw the night sky flare brightly for a minute before it settled back down into its normal luminescence. "Damn it," he spat. "Can you go take a look outside and see if there's anything nearby? If there is, we might be able to get out of its range this time around." Once more, his focus was such that he hadn't even noticed that Mother had not spoken to him since the time he'd arrived on this world. They needed to get a set protocol together, something that was better coordinated and not so reliant on taking care of things in the moment. The car didn't even acknowledge him. It just zipped out the broken door and flew down the street. Sarah looked over to him. "That makes it just you and me. All alone." She stepped over and slid behind the counter. "I'm starving. You want some coffee?" He nodded. "I could use a cup. Just surprise me. I really don't care what you give me so long as it has caffeine." She gave him a thumbs up, and 2 minutes later came back with 2 steaming cups of coffee. She handed him one as she sipped hers. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to get it hot enough, but this is perfect." Declan blew on the cup and inhaled a strong scent of pumpkin spice. He was already thrilled to get coffee, but pumpkin flavor was the best. Normally, he enjoyed drinking his coffee in much smaller sips, but the cup in his hand seemed lukewarm, and so he took a long draft. Draft, right?
Yeah.
And almost spit it onto the floor. It tasted of iron and pumpkin. At first, he tried to figure out what was in his mouth, but then he remembered the name of the store. Bloody Star. Surely that wasn't really blood in his cup, was it? He forced himself to swallow it. Sarah saw his face and asked, "What's the matter? Is it too hot? I thought I had it exactly 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit." He forced himself not to gag. "Is there blood in that coffee?" She looked puzzled. "Of course, but I gave you O negative. I thought everyone liked O negative. Are you more of an AB positive guy? I can get you some of that if you like." Declan looked at her, really looked at her, and realized that she had fangs. Her canines were elongated, not enough to protrude from her mouth, but enough to be noticeable if you paid attention. Dear God, he was so stupid. Didn't his mission statement say something about hemivores? Her people drank blood to survive. She was a living vampire, flesh and blood, but a vampire nonetheless. No, he sputtered. "I'm fine. I'm going to check on Christine. Give me a minute, okay? She nodded, and he initiated his head net. Christine, are you all right? Do you see anything? Declan, the streets are clear. I can't find anything around or above the area I have designated as minimum distance for being able to interfere with our extraction. I'm coming back. I'm afraid that my presence will only draw attention if I remain mobile. I saw that flash of light. Was that your doing? Yes, I set off a supernova. We don't have much time left. Get back here and we'll try again. I'm returning now. Christine says we're all clear, so whatever it is has to be nearby. Mother wouldn't leave us here to die unless she had no choice. He looked the cafe over, even going into the back, but he found nothing. He went back to Sarah and sat beside her. She was still cradling her coffee in her hands and taking short sips. Excuse me. He was about to ask her about being a living vampire, as opposed to the undead variety, when he noticed movement on the floor. The stabby cultist, the one the other robed madmen had called the unholy friar, was moving his leg, and the exposed flesh was a light green. Declan stood up and pulled his handgun from his back. He placed the barrel right behind the hood of the killer and pulled the trigger. Nothing happened. He was out of cartridges. He began thinking, did I fire 5 shots or did I fire 6? He'd lost count in all the commotion, so he wasn't sure. For all he knew, the weapon hadn't been fully loaded when he took it from Crow. She might have fired it before she found him, or she may have just left a chamber empty so she didn't shoot her foot off. Either way, it didn't matter now. The cultist was getting up. All right, Ray. I think that was awesome. Thank you for requesting that one.
Oh, thank you for doing it.
How far are you into it?
I'm really, really far.
Really, really far.
Yeah. I've got a lot there. I just haven't released on Real Road. I never get time to do anything. So, yeah, I went back and I've been retroactively changing some stuff before I release it. But yeah, I've got that, and I got the other book I'm doing too.
What's that?
That one is the horror one. It's the nightmare game.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and that one's pretty close to finished as it is. I've got 60,000 words, and I probably got 10,000 written. So another 5, and I'll be finished with it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so how many words is this one that we just did?
Right now, I've got over 100,000 words to it.
And you said you wanted it to end where? In this first book?
My first book, it'll end. Well, I can't give away a lot, but he ends up fighting the horseman and figuring out what's going on and why he has to destroy.
So no, I'm saying how many words do you want it to be? Like, how close are you to being finished?
Oh, I'm darn close to being finished. It's just a matter of tidying things up.
Cool. Are you gonna publish on Kindle?
Yeah, I'm talking with someone right now about things. I can't talk about it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So we're seeing what's going to happen. If things don't work out, then we'll go the independent route. But yeah, I've got somebody already interested in stuff.
Nice. So, you're like, I'm assuming if you go with these people who I imagine you'll be going with, they have editors that are going to be hooking you up with.
Yeah.
You'll be tightening your stuff up.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, Ray, that sounds awesome.
Well, thank you.
All right, so cool. Well, I'm so happy that you requested that. If you guys want to go check out the rest of the story, the link to the Royal Road version of the book is in the description below. Are you going to keep it on Royal Road after it's published?
Yeah, I'll have a most of it up. I don't think you can leave it all up with Amazon. I think you have to have like part of the book not completed or something like that. I'm not sure about the regulations, but
okay. Well, go get it while you guys can before it gets published, and see if you like it. And yeah, so we are on to our last request. You can hang out with us if you want to, Ray.
Oh, thank you.
For VEET. A review for VEET hair removal cream. All right. Bonnie, who is unfortunately not with us today. I sent her a link. She must be sleeping. For anyone who doesn't know, Bonnie is a vampire, so she sleeps during the day. I wish I wish that she had done Sarah's voice today, but yeah, she's asleep. She's asleep, but she wanted me to read this VEET hair removal cream for men, and here's the direction. UK accent of some sort, as this Amazon review originates from the Amazon UK site, and because of the lingo used. Sounds like an older bloke. Okay. Remember, guys, I'm putting this firmly under the cringe theater label. If you don't know what cringe theater means, it means hide your wife, hide your kids, hide your husband. This is going to be probably inappropriate, more inappropriate than a lot of things that I do on this stream, which is saying a lot. So, yeah, just a warning in case you get squeamish about things. I mean, I can imagine there's lots of opportunities for disgusting things with a hair removal cream review. So here goes. VEET hair removal cream for men, NSFW, cringe theater. You can leave now if you want to. Last warning. Here goes. After having been told my danglies looked like an elderly Rastafarian, I decided to take the plunge and buy some of this, as previous shaving attempts had only been mildly successful, and I nearly put my back out trying to reach the more difficult bits. Being a bit of a romantic, I thought I would do the deed on the missus's birthday as a bit of a treat. I ordered it well in advance, and working in the North Sea, I considered myself a bit above some of the characters writing the previous reviews and wrote them off as soft office types. Okay, I'm kind of sounding like a soft office type. Let me start over. After having been told my dangles looked like an elderly Rastafarian, I decided to take the plunge and buy some of this as previous shaving attempts had only been mildly successful, and I nearly put my back out trying to reach the more difficult bits. Being a bit of a romantic, I thought I would do the deed on the missus's birthday as a bit of a treat. I ordered it well in advance, and working in the North Sea, I considered myself a bit above some of the characters writing the previous reviews and wrote them off as soft office types. Oh, my fellow sufferers, how wrong I was. I waited until the other half was tucked up in bed, and after giving some vague hints about a special surprise, I went down to the bathroom. Initially, all went well, and I applied the gel and stood waiting for something to happen. I didn't have to wait long. At first, there was a gentle warmth, which in a matter of seconds was replaced by an intense burning and a feeling I can only describe as like being given a barbed wire wedgie by two people intent on hitting the ceiling with my head. Religion hadn't featured much in my life until that night, but I suddenly became willing to convert to any religion to stop the violent burning around the turd tunnel and what seemed like the destruction of the meat and 2 veg. Struggling not to bite through my bottom lip, I tried to wash the gel off in the sink and only succeeded in blocking the plug hole with a mat of hair. Through the haze of tears, I struggled out of the bathroom across the hall into the kitchen. By this time, walking was not really possible, and I crawled the final yard to the fridge in the hope of some form of cold relief. I yanked the freezer drawer out and found a tub of ice cream, towed the lid off, and positioned it under me. The relief was fantastic, but only temporary, as it melted fairly quickly and the fiery stabbing returned. Due to the shape of the ice cream tub, I hadn't managed to give the starfish any treatment. And I groped around in the drawer for something else, as I was sure my vision was going to fail fairly soon. I grabbed a bag of what I later found out was frozen sprouts and tore it open, trying to be quiet as I did so. I took a handful of them and tried in vain to clench some between the cheeks of my arse. This was not doing the trick, as some of the gel had found its way up the chutney channel. This was not doing the trick, as some of the gel had found its way up the chutney channel, and it felt like the space shuttle was running its engines behind me. This was probably, and hopefully, the only time in my life I was going to wish there was a gay snowman in the kitchen, which should give you some idea. Let me say that again. This was probably, and hopefully, the only time in my life I was going to wish there was a gay snowman in the kitchen, which should give you some idea of the depths I was willing to sink to in order to ease the pain. The only solution my pain-crazed mind could come up with was to gently ease one of the sprouts where no veg had gone before. Is that veg? Is that what it's supposed to be? VEG. I guess so. All right. Unfortunately, alerted by the strange grunts coming from the kitchen, the other half chose that moment to come and investigate, and was greeted by the sight of me, arse in the air, strawberry ice cream dripping from my bell end, pushing a sprout up my arse while muttering, "Ah, oh, that feels good. Ah." Understandably, this was a shock to her, and she let out a scream, and as I hadn't heard her come in, it caused an involuntary spasm of shock in myself, which resulted in the sprout being ejected at quite some speed in her direction. I can understand that having a sprout fired against your leg at 11 at night in the kitchen probably wasn't the special surprise she was expecting, and having to explain to the kids the next day what the strange hollow in the ice cream was didn't improve my status. So to sum it up, VEET removes hair, dignity, and self-respect. Oh man, that was amazing. Not as NSFW as I thought it would be. But it's really good. Man. All right, Bonnie, thank you so much for requesting that. I know you're not here, but you are here with us in spirit. So yeah, that's Sound Booth Theater Live for tonight. Go buy some VEET removal cream so that you can experience this what this man has described, and also go pick up Locked In Virtual Realms Book 1 by MJ Lau. That's in the description below. Pick up or go check out Apocalypse on Endless Earths, Apocalypse How, a lit RPG adventure by Raymond Johnson. The link to that Royal Road link is in the link to that for Royal Road. The Royal Road link is in the description below. And yeah, check out all the links I put in the description. They're all very important. And one shout out to Gamelit Society on Facebook. If you want to find more video game fiction, you go there to check it out. It's a Facebook group. It's huge. And also, don't forget about Studio Bricks, our sponsor, Sound Booth Theater's sponsor. It's so cool for me to have them sponsor this company, because I feel like the booth is such an important part of the tool set. Like it's maybe the most important part, because that's what separates this from the rest of my life. Like I can be in here, I can concentrate. Things won't bother me from the outside mostly. I mean, no matter how thick you make walls of a booth, there's going to be some bullshit outside that's going to bother you. But this minimizes it all. It looks nice. It's easy to put together. StudioBricks.com. If you're an aspiring narrator or voice actor, go check them out. This is a great option. And I think that's it. Like this video, subscribe to the channel if you liked it in the first place. You can find tons of Sound Booth Theater Live videos in our archive. And that's it for me. Raymond, you got anything to say?
Yeah, don't forget to check out the LITRPG audiobook podcast. There's a dork that does that pretty well, I think. You might want to check it out and hear what he has to say sometimes.
Two dorks.
Well, there's the one dork that puts his face on there a lot. You know. But yeah, that's it. And I'd appreciate if you could check out my book and give me some feedback. And I'm always open to suggestions and ideas. So thank you.
What is the YouTube channel?
The YouTube channel for
LitRPG Audiobook Podcast?
I'd have to look that up, Jeff.
It's not Game Lit Society. I can't remember what it's called.
I think it is.
Geek. No. How am I forgetting this?
It comes up. I'm gonna have to play this. Hold on a second. No, I'll mute this.
Geek Bites. The Geek Bites Podcast.
Yeah, Geek Bites Podcast right there.
Geek Bites Podcast YouTube channel.
Yes.
Yeah. So go check them out. And yeah, that's it. So thank you guys one more time. Have a good week.